Hello, this is Mary Prasad, Artist in Residence with Imagine Crafts. In this tutorial, I'll show you how to achieve the look of water using creative medium and recycled plastic. For this tutorial, you'll need the following supplies listed on the screen. Here's a sample I made earlier. I actually used the creative medium with the shimmer, and you can see a little bit of a subtle shimmer when you turn it to the light. This one I made a little bit too dark, so I'm going to try to make it a little lighter by using less of the pigment. Here I have a couple pieces of recycled plastic and one I'm going to use as a palette to mix my color. Here's some of the shimmer, creative medium, and you only need a little bit. I actually put a little bit too much on here, so I'm going to take some off. Next I'll add the pigment. I'm using the ultramarine blue by Color Burst. This is kind of tricky to get the right amount out, and tapping on the end of it actually gave me a bit too much again, but it's okay, I'll make it work. Just mix it in, and in this case I don't want to mix it too much. I'm going to leave it so that it's a bit streaky to give it more of a water look. Next I'm going to spread it across one of the sheets of recycled plastic. Now you can leave it just going straight across, or you can give it a little bit more of a pattern, which I'm going to do here by going up and down with a knife. You can check out what it looks like from the back side, but remember that it will dry more clear than what you're seeing here. If you look at it against a white background, it'll give you more of an idea what kind of pattern you have going. I'm going to use the Misty tool to arrange my stamps, but you can use any stamp positioner or even just a clear block. The stamps that I'm using is Fantastic Friends by Lawn Fawn. I'm going to stamp the tank 3 times. On the plastic, I'm going to use StazOn ink. First I'll stamp the tank on clear plastic, then I'll stamp it on watercolor paper along with some fish. I'll color all of those, and then finally I'll stamp it on the piece that we colored earlier. For the watercolor paper, I'm going to use VersaFine ink. You may want to heat set this so that it won't smear when you're coloring it. I'm using Winsor & Newton watercolors, but any watercolor will do. I recommend making a color chart of all the pigments so you can see what the colors look like on the paper you'll be using. I bought this ceramic plate at the dollar store. It makes a much better palette than the one that comes with the paint set. It doesn't beat up as much as you see here. I used a Sharpie to write the names of the colors on the inside of the paint set. You'll see me tip it up now and then so I can read the colors. The secret to watercoloring is to put it on in layers. It's a translucent medium, so you'll want to build up the color. Having a small scrap of watercolor paper on the side is helpful to test the colors. You may want to periodically check the colors through the water that you've created. Once the watercolor is dried, just cut them out with a small pair of scissors. When cutting around small objects, it helps to move the paper instead of just the scissors. color the bottom of the tank, I'm going to use some memento markers to create the look of wood. As a finishing touch, I'm going to go around all the pieces with a black memento marker from the back side. This creates a nice clean edge. I also use the marker to draw in a little bit more of the doorway on the sandcastle. I use the fine tip on the marker to go over any spots that may not have stamped as well or got lighter during coloring. Now that the creative medium is dried, I'm going to stamp the aquarium on in Stays On ink. The aquarium is going to have 3 layers, one with the watercolor, one with the water, and one with the tank. On this piece, I'm just going to cut around the water areas. Once I've planned out all the pieces and cut them all out, I'm going to erase some of the lines. You'll see me do this in a minute. Check out the cool shimmer you get when you look at it in the light. I thought this Under the Sea paper pad by Doodlebug Design Incorporated would make the perfect backdrop for my aquarium. I'm also using some aqua-colored cardstocks. I'll use one of the stitched rectangles to make a frame for my aquarium. To make a mat for this, I'm just going to make a couple tick marks and cut it on my paper cutter. To erase the unwanted lines, I'm going to use some alcohol and a Q-tip. It does require a bit of rubbing to scrub the lines off. Don't worry if you rub a little bit too much off. You can always fix it later with a Sharpie or other alcohol marker. Remember to erase the sand lines where any objects may overlap. Also erase the sand completely from the front piece of the aquarium. I'll fix a couple lines with the Sharpie. Here I have affixed all the pieces to the aquarium, except I didn't put glue behind all the areas so that they could float up and give them a little bit more dimension. To affix the aquarium pieces together, I'm using this clear mounting tape by Scotch. I have already put a small piece here. You can hardly see it from the front. Here's a look at the shimmer and dimension on the aquarium. To stamp the sentiment, I'm going to use VersaFine ink. You might notice the purple water paper in the background. I decided not to use this. The flip side of the bubbles had these really cute fish, so I decided to use that pattern instead. I attached the aquarium and sentiment with dimensional tape, and then I added some enamel dots to finish off the card. And here's a final look at the card. For more ideas and inspiration, please visit ImagineCrafts.com.